now we have somewhat of an idea on what exactly Elentear is. Doesn't seem that Elentear is a being or some form of creature. Seems that Elentear instead is a place, similar to how you have Earthland, and you have Edelus. Or Elentear seems to be some form of location, somewhere that both relates to Toka and the White Witch. And interestingly enough, both of them have a relationship to it. Probably both are from there. But they, like, the White Witch never told Toka that, which again is very interesting already. I'm hoping we get a little bit more information. Maybe after each chapter gives us a couple pages of her just like going over it, even if it's mostly teasing. Like, obviously this chapter, like the last one we just got the name Elentear mentioned and the whole thing about it swallowing the moon, and it was very ominous. And then this chapter we had a lot of teasing between the White Witch and Toka about it, but she did bring up that when she was going to brought them to Edelus and she ended up Edelus, she said this is an Elentear, so obviously Elentear is some form of place. I'm gonna do a video kind of just going over a little bit about that, on my theory on what that really can lead to, and then I really want to do a tinfoil hat theory of an idea that I came up with. It probably won't happen, but I really want it to happen. But so in the next chapter, I believe that given the first, like, not the first chapter, but the previous chapter, the first one we got about Elentear, we had it initially named. And then after that, we had Elentear, like, a little bit given about, oh yeah, it's in trouble, it's a place, there's stuff going on that the White Witch is clearly tied to, and Toka as well. So I imagine in the next chapter we might actually get like some information on what's going on over there. What is the danger in Elentear that characters really need to worry about? Because she brings up that if they were able to defeat Alderaan, maybe maybe they'll be able to do something about Elentear. So if it's in danger, under threat by some form of being or creature, I think that'll already be really cool, because if it's an alternate world, some form of alternate reality, or maybe something that already kind of like aligns to it. I'll give a little bit of my theory on what it is, and then I'm going to go into a little bit deeper with a video just kind of like talking to it about itself and kind of piecing things together that could lead to it. And that Elentear, I think, is either like some form of afterlife realm in fairy tale, or something like the realm where the gods live. I think it's going to be very big, because I don't think it's just going to be the same as like what Edelus was, where it was an alternate universe. Like, I don't think we're just going to get, oh yeah, it's an alternate world that needs help. I think it has to be something big that relates to what's going on, or at least events that are adjacent to what's going on, in terms of like something to do with like dragon gods, something to do with previous events. It'd be kind of weird during 100 Years Quest to randomly go off on another alternate universe that has nothing to do with any of these characters. I think it has to do with something that already exists. We just don't really know it yet, and probably won't get like a full explanation for a couple of chapters. I do really wish that, I'm hoping that the White Witch just gives us a little bit more information next chapter, and maybe the chapter after that, until we get like an actual explanation. Because they're probably going to go to Elentear soon, or at least get an idea of what's happening. Maybe just an explanation of like, yeah, this is the current status, this is why it's dangerous, and this is, how events and stuff relate to it, why the White Witch is doing it. Because I genuinely think it has to have something to do with like a previous character, like Ankh-Saram or Acnologia. I feel like those characters have to be related somehow, for the White Witch for some reason to come to Earthland and seek out the power of the dragon gods, because clearly she wants to go against and whatever is the threat to Elentear. She really wants to defeat whatever is putting it in danger. So getting these dragon gods powers would make sense as to oh yeah, she was trying to build like a force in order to stop them. But if they're like, oh well, these guys beat Alderaan, then oh well, maybe they can, they'll be able to do it as well. Because I don't know if I have to go back and look whether or not she knows about them specifically beating Mertzphobia. But either way, like she's now had a Dragon God under control, failed, after they ended up defeating him. But also, Alderaan, tricked. She wasn't able to get it like she wanted, and now she's like, oh well, if these guys are able to beat Alderaan, maybe they can help me. Because maybe she's not outright evil, but she's just, one of those characters where it's like, I have to do this at all costs, kind of like that, where it's malefic from whatever, like being on an opposing standpoint of, whatever she's doing, but what she's doing for the most part is good from her perspective. Obviously something, down the lines of like, oh, well, saving their world is more important to them than saving, a couple of people, in an alternate universe. Because even though that we are, as the readers, are way more attached to like the Fairy Tale Guild than the White Witch, but you gotta think about it from her perspective, that if they are, the sacrifice in her mind that she would need in order to save this other realm, then it doesn't seem like a big cost to her, like any of these people, like the Fairy Tale Guild or any of the Dragon Gods, because they're a completely different set that she doesn't really need to think too much about afterwards. And even though I wouldn't agree with it, but like a couple people for like a whole realm is, in her mind, I would imagine like a fair trade-off. But anyway, though, comment below, thumbs up the video. I mean, like, we're gonna get a lot of stuff just because I've talked most about the White Witch. We're gonna get stuff obviously involving Daedalus characters, like the foreshadowing of Nightwalker. I think she's gonna end up being like a nun or something, because people, I gotta go over this because I almost messed up and didn't even talk about the Daedalus characters. I think Nightwalker is gonna end up being like something like a nun, somehow reformed and kind of like trying to make up for the things she's done. Because I know some people are like, oh, what if she was in jail or something? But I don't really know why Nightwalker, like why they wouldn't, like why would Daedalus Lucy not want Urza to see Nightwalker if she was just in jail or something? And then if she was like in some way incarcerated, how would she just run into her? Why would she even have to say anything about it? Because I know there are people that are like, oh, well, all the bad stuff she did, members of Fairy Tale and Daedalus she killed at the time before, the Daedalus arc. But you gotta keep in mind, at that time, the Fairy Tale Guild in Daedalus were criminals. They were fugitives running from the law, borderline, treasonous. So, from her perspective and the standpoint of their kingdom and their rules, she was not necessarily doing a good thing, but not something that, like, I think that would be like, all right, we need to, lock her up and just pretty much just let her rot forever. Like I said, at that point, it's a matter of perspective and which side you're on, and it's not as like outright evil as just like, oh, I'm gonna go be a serial killer, but you're working to go after these criminals who are opposing your kingdom. It's a gray area essentially. It's not as black and white, I think, as a lot of people are making it out to be from Nightwalker's position. But then like the other stuff, like just general nice little fun ship stuff, and then Mystigun I think is going to be really cool to see, and just seeing like what he's doing. I'm hoping that Mishima alters Mystigun's design a little bit since it's been 9 years, so maybe just gives him like longer hair or something, does something different. I'm perfectly fine if he looks exactly the same, but I would like wonder like what would he do if he, or what would Mystigun look like if he had something like longer or shorter hair or something. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, prefer the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Further than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.